This week on Not Another Shooting Show.
Hi, I'm your Area 3 director.
Stevens Whiskey is very good.
How did I beat you, Jeff, with a Glock and your Shadow 2?
Alcohol. Yeah. You're good. Like, you're Bob Bogle.
Do you drink when you record your podcast? I'm going to guess you don't.
I will bust a cap in your ass.
You're still getting gay porn.
He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is Not Another Shooting Show. We go to your state first, Jeff, this week. Not because there was a tornado. There was a 30-year-old man who is ticketed on suspicion of unlawful discharge of a firearm.
Well, that doesn't sound very patriotic.
No. Unlawful discharge of a firearm. He accidentally shot himself in the leg. When he shot himself in the leg, Jeff, was he A, cleaning the gun, B, waiting to pick up food, or C, at the range shooting?
I'm gonna go with cleaning the gun because they're always cleaning a gun.
No, I'm sorry, he was not cleaning a gun. He was waiting to pick up food at a drive-thru of a barbecue restaurant in North Omaha. Have you been to Jim's Rib Haven?
I haven't, but I should go.
Sounds good. Omaha police officers learned of the incident after being called to the medical center to investigate a walk-in shooting victim. Officers reported that the man was a passenger in a 2023 Chevy pickup driven by his mommy. And according to the police report, the man was either attempting to load or unload a handgun when it discharged, striking him in the right leg. Boo! Well, he doesn't have the gun anymore, so there's that. That's one thing when I've heard people talk about, like, the gun you carry, you really shouldn't carry, like, a family heirloom or a really expensive gun, because if you use it, you're going to lose it for a while. So, yeah.
So you're saying a $5,000 Staccato XC is not the carry gun of choice?
Yeah, with Say Cheese stenciled on the side. Yep.
Right. If you're going to be playing with it at a barbecue restaurant in North Omaha.
Yeah, it doesn't say what the gun was, but yeah, playing with it in the drive-thru. Oops. I also have I've got a piece of audio here for you. This was a police-involved shooting down in Oklahoma City here this past week. Here's the audio. Okay. Guess how many people were hit by all of those bullets fired?
Seeing as how it was cops, I'm going to say a bystander unrelated to the incident was the only person hit.
No, the only thing injured, I believe, was like the guy's house.
Oh.
All that happened, and I was so confused. X-Ray Alpha posted this on his Instagram, and I was so confused by the video because I didn't read the caption that he wrote underneath. Because you see two different body cams of the shooting, and you're like, oh, that dude's going to be messed up. And then you see him walk out with his hands up, lay down on the ground, and then a bunch of cops with, like, riot gear on go up to arrest him. And I'm so confused. I'm like, what happened? I scroll down and they said not one round hit him.
Jesus. I get grief because I shit on cops near constantly, but like this is why.
I'm not gonna do it as much as you do, but like this is a supreme example of okay. Now I will say from the looks of the video, which is hard to tell, it doesn't look like it was super close. You know, I would guess it was at least 15 to 20 yards away. I mean, they're on the other side of the street.
It's across a full yard.
In the full yard. Like, it wasn't a nothing shot. You know, it's not like they were 5 yards away.
Right. I just, like, every time I see cops shooting, I'm imagining Archer yelling, Cyril, no suppressive fire. But again, it's frustrating because, like, I've watched many, many, many police shooting videos, and so many of them are like, if you had basic marksmanship, this entire problem would have been solved like 20 minutes ago, and the taxpayers would not be out a cent. But okay, like, let's just But competition shooting will get you killed in the streets.
Kilt in the streets. Yeah. It's kind of amusing. I can't imagine, I'm not trying to shit on anybody here, but if carrying a gun was part of my job, I would, regardless of if I was a gamer shooter like we are, I would want to be good at it, you know?
Yep.
And as soon as I saw somebody who was better than me, I would be like, mostly just because I'm obnoxiously competitive, like, I want to be better than that guy. And I would do what I had to be better than that guy. And then that probably would have led me to practical shooting. But anyway, not to... one thing we completely did not even think to add to the rundown, and I didn't think of it until just this moment. Hi, I'm your Area 3 director.
Oh, Mazel Tov.
Hey,
Congratulations.
hey,
Condolences.
Yeah,
You're the Area 3 director.
There we go. Cheers.
L'chaim.
Yeah, I officially, barring some weird eligibility rule that I'm unaware of, or someone went back through all the digital records of my membership to find, I have I have a life membership, and I'm L6377 now, which is easy it's easy for me to remember because 77 was the year I was born, and it was my football number in high school. So all I got to remember is, okay, dumb lineman number, my lineman number. Okay, got it. There just were dumb numbers in football. Like, there were certain numbers you just didn't want, even as a chubby lineman. And 63 was one of those numbers. Like, most of the 60 numbers were kind of dumb. Like, they were for, like, the really round fat guys. I don't know why. They just were. They just were. Yep. Like, you were a lot cooler with a 7 in the first part of your number. 5s were also pretty cool, but those were for, like, the smaller, scrappier dudes. Like 60s, they're for the fatties. I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, so yeah, I'm the Area 3 director. I don't know shit about anything, you know. I actually had a guy get in touch with me last week about his code for nationals wasn't working, and I'm like, I don't know.
You're like, dude, I've been on this job for 2.5 minutes.
Like, Monday was when the 29th, which is tomorrow, you know, in recording time.
Correct.
Is when I'm officially the Area 3 director. So, like, at the time, I'm not even really the guy yet, officially. And
I'm still doing the onboarding paperwork. Sorry,
I haven't even got it yet. Haven't got the onboarding paperwork. Still haven't bought a life membership yet. So let me text him in and see if he can help you. And so he's like, oh, I know him all the time. It was like, it came in hot and fast. So with that, later on in the show, we're going to have Ben Barry on this week, the Area 6 director. And as one Redditor wrote in there was, like, we just posted, what should we ask Ben? And he's like, I'm tired of the drama. Let's just talk about training and shooting and stuff. So we'll do that, but I'm not really interested in the drama either. I've never been interested in the drama. It's just sort of happened. So, and
it's fun how it chases you when you least expect it.
Yeah, it does. I tell you what, though, man, it's surreal. Like, to actually think, like, holy shit, I'm the Area 3 director.
You're important.
Like, but I'm not, though.
But you are.
So we did have one. We'll get to the Reddit towards the end of the show, but we had there was a guy who posted in our nass, N-A-S-S, need a better name for this sub. When I originally searched NASS, I had safe search off, and you wouldn't believe the amount of porn that came up.
Oh, I believe it.
Which that never occurred to me. Like, I wouldn't have, like, I don't know if I have safe search on or off on my Reddit app. There was like a user who came up as NSFW, and it was pretty PG-13 for the most part, but I just told him you're welcome, and and someone else said likely story, like, yeah, that's why the porn came up, was because you had the safe search off. Okay, then another dude, Tom Yum, comments, I didn't see this until just before the show. Try being a scat enthusiast. and he's talking about the style of jazz music, scat.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. I've been on the internet too long.
I know.
My brain went somewhere completely different.
Well, it's like when I hear the word scat, I think of like deer shit. That's the context I mostly use the word scat.
It does have a scientific terminology, but yeah, no, the internet has ruined so many things.
Oh, so many perfectly wholesome things.
Right, and I did just Reddit search nass because, of course, I have not safe for work. And yes, the first thing that pops up is porn.
Oh, okay, good.
There's a woman named Natasha Nass, Nass. So, and all of her pictures are blurred out. So, yeah.
Well, you're welcome, everybody. You get porn and not another shooting show. So, moving on. Ben Barry later in the show, everybody. We also got a Patreon that will be, I hope, we haven't decided exactly what day it's going to be. It's patreon.com/notanothershootingshow. $3.57 a month. You get an extra show a week. So less than $1 a week for another show. How about that?
Hell yeah.
Burp, hell yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. I think
Stevens Whiskey is very good.
It's not bad. No, not bad at all. I think we'll post Friday, like Friday morning. That sounds like a good time to have us come out. Yeah. I think that's when our second episode of the week will come out. Okay. Community burnout. Jeff, go.
Oh, so speaking of how you don't necessarily want the drama, but it just tends to follow you. And my club, we are in full rebellion. We support the I don't even know anymore what we support. I'm burned out of it too. I agree with you. So we're having our all classifier match this coming weekend, and it is a USPSA sanctioned all classifier. We picked the classifiers, and of course, drama had to follow. And part of it's me. I'm a drama llama. I will fully acknowledge that. But there was a conversation that got started around whether we should make it into a hit factor match 2 weeks out. And I like the personalities at my club are very big. We have a lot of big personalities, and I personally was like, hey, you know what? You take over. It's you. It's all yours. I don't want it. I don't even want to be like, I'm good. And it just like, it kept just dragging me back in. And the shooting does, like, I do not mind the shooting. I like shooting. Shooting's fun. I like seeing my friends. It's fun. But the community around USPSA is a weirdly toxic mix. Now, it may just be my club. I have a very large club with big personalities.
Between what you're talking about and also the multi-gun stuff, I feel like it's more your club than a thing. I mean, it's a thing that can happen in any hobby or community, you know?
Right.
But at the same time,
my club is just a bit extra.
We don't have these problems up here. Like,
right. I shoot at this little like 10-person club out in Alliance, Nebraska. And when I go there, they're just happy I'm there. We just staple some targets up. I shoot a match. We have a cerveza or two in the shed after everything's put away.
Uh-huh.
And then I drive back to my dad's house. And it's a nice day. It is a match that I will drive 2 hours.
Dude, Alliance, I forgot Alliance is way the hell out there.
Yeah,
it's in the panhandle of Nebraska.
Right. My dad lives out in the panhandle, and so Alliance is an hour from him. And so when I'm staying with him,
sure.
I shoot their monthly match and then drive back. So it's 2 hours of driving for a 5-stage kind of just, a little local. Like they run a little fast and loose with the target presentation sometimes. I made the mistake of telling them, because the guy's like, we should have more targets. I want to shoot more. I drove 4 hours to be here. I want to shoot more. And I'm like, you could just make it 3 per. He goes, yes, we're doing 3 per. And I was like, oh crap, I should have told him that. But yeah, going back to the larger thing is, it's like, the community, especially at my club, I'm finding there's a lot there's a reason people burn out of this space, and it's not because of the shooting or the sport. It's the people around it that make it difficult to have longevity in, because there's always a personality conflict. And I'm sure it happens in a lot of hobbies. I have several hobbies I've come and gone from, whatever, but like my club especially, there is a lot of unneeded drama basically every week, and it made me almost want to just quit. Like I was prepared to be like, you know what, I'm out, I'm done. I'll shoot the majors. I'll show up when I want to show up, but like no one bother me. I'm done, because like it's just like the community needs to understand that the matches exist because the match staff puts them on, and if the match staff stops, the matches stop. Like the whole game stops because there's a club by Omaha, it's about an hour outside of Omaha, that their main match director moved on from doing matches. They do not shoot matches anymore.
Yeah,
someone could have stepped up and done it, but
I mean, your club is big enough. Someone would pick it up. You know,
you hope, but
it would. Someone would. It would happen for sure.
But like as a community, I think we need to start from a more like less, as a confrontational person, I will say, we need to start from a less confrontational and less like, and think more deeply about what we're doing. Because again, like what started this was a guy trying to change the essence of a match, so change the entire back end of a match,
change the whole format of the match,
right?
Basically, completely alter it.
Right. So and without talking to anyone who signed up to the match, without talking to the match director, blah blah blah, and present it as a fairly vague question, when it's like, no, like this needs to be a direct question. Like, hey, I need to, like, if we have 13 people agree to this by this time, that they'll sign up because it's changed. But anyways, and I'm just like, why do I even try? Like, what's the purpose of me showing up? And so like I've decided that this will be the last match for USPSA hit factor style shooting that I will be match director for, and it'll be nice to go back to being a competitor that shows up at 8:35.
Yeah. Hey, it was fun when you came up here and all you did was shoot, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You just hung out. You bullshitted. You helped tear down.
Right. Right. We made sure we tore down our 2 stages, and we're like, we're good to go, because we got a 2.5 hour drive ahead of us. Because hey, shit needs to be put back in the shed. But yeah, it's like, for those who are match staff, take a step back, see if someone else will step up. Don't make it reliant on you, because God forbid something ever happens to you, your club's dead anyways.
Yeah. I mean, my new job, I don't have the ability to be there as early as I used to be. So we had a club match this past week, and I didn't get there till almost 6 o'clock. Usually we would be starting shortly after 6. So I had a buddy who had been helping with the multi-gun stuff, and I just said, here's the stages, which 2 of them were just night match stages that were... They
were good stages.
Like, well, yeah, but I just rehashed them because I literally designed nothing since then. And then I can't remember where the other one came from. Oh, he had a design from last year that never got used, and then somebody else came up with one. So, but I mean, they were mostly done by the time I got there, and then did tablets and set them up in the scoring thing and whatever. And the thing is, there's always that sentiment of, oh, well, you can't complain if you don't volunteer and whatever. And like, when it just comes to general match bitching, like, I totally agree. When it's just people pissing and moaning about, I didn't like how this one was and that one, and I don't necessarily disagree that that's pointless, but when it wasn't just like someone pissing in your Cheerios, they were literally, you're about to jump in the pool and they moved the pool. Right. And left concrete behind. Like, it's a different thing.
And also, like, I used to be of the opinion that, yeah, don't comment unless you're willing to do something. Yeah, no, that's a dumb mindset. And then, like, I got into being on the match running side of it, and I'm like, anytime I get comments from people, I'm like, okay, you step up and do it. Like I'm not doing this because I want to be here. You don't want the people who want to be match directors. They don't. They tend to have an ego behind them. They tend to have a hatchet to bury. Because our club, the way we do it is like, hey, I need stage builders, and sometimes when no one signed up, we have a guy that will sign up and is like, hey, you know what? No one signed up. I'll take whatever bay's left. And you're like, okay. And then I show up to the match and we shoot it, whatever. And someone goes, this stage is dumb. And I go, well, he signed up to do it. I don't know. Like if you want something, you have to do it. Like that's the PCC 2-gun match we ran it because I thought it would be an interesting idea. I had multiple people walk up to me. I can't wait for you to do another one. I said, I bet you can't wait for me to do another one. And guess what? There hasn't been another one because I didn't choose to do another one.
That's another thing where if there's something you want to happen, like as a sport or an event at a gun club, like we had this happen at my gun club where there were these guys that came to one of the meetings and they're like, yeah, we'd really like to see some more 2-gun because we think 2-gun's cool. And we're like, okay, great. So are you guys, when are we going to do it? I was like, I don't know. When are you going to do it? Like, this isn't like, if you're petitioning me to do it, the answer is no. I'm not going to do it. I'm already running a sport out here. If you guys want to run it, go for it. Like, here's the keys. We'll get you set up as an admin on Practice Score, and you do the thing.
Yeah.
But and sometimes people are just, they misunderstand that, it never occurred to me that I could be the one. We thought everything had to go through you. And like, well, yeah, the overall yes-no does, but I don't want to run it.
Right. Once the yes is said, my club has a quote unquote board because we have 6 different sports that we do or whatever. But like, if you walked up to the board and were like, hey, would you guys put this on? We'll go, you can put it on and we'll help you. Like, and that's the crazy thing. Like, if you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll be the match director. We will basically do most of the work we would have to do as a match director anyways, just to help you understand and like accomplish the task.
Yeah.
Like we want you, if anyone who's like, well, I don't know if like I'm qualified. I'm not qualified.
I wasn't qualified when I started either.
No,
you know how you get qualified? You do it, you fuck it up, you fix it, and you get better. That's how you do it. That's how you get qualified.
And I guarantee you, other than there's always going to be a couple personalities. They're like, nope, I've got it. Like, don't even talk to me. But 90% of the people you run into, if you go, hey, could I like help you? Or could I like, could you teach me how to like do this in your place? Most of them would be like, oh, thank you. Please. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I would love you to even be their assistant, be their runner. Like, hey, could you go check this, and this? Like half of what you do as a match director is walk up to a bay and go, fix this, and this, and then you walk off to the next bay, and you just spend the entire morning walking from bay to bay to bay, trying to be like, okay, I guess we're doing that. Fine. Don't do that. That's unsafe. And so like, it takes like 10% of your match score away. Yeah, it's wonderful.
So, I guess to put a bow on that, yeah, if there's something you want to do at your club, like just, and some clubs they're gonna say no. You're not allowed. You don't get the keys to the props or whatever, even if you're volunteering to run stuff. Most places, I'm guessing, if you volunteer to run something, you're gonna be granted access to whatever you need. But outside of that, I can't imagine it's gonna be too terribly complicated. Okay, so earlier this week, I sent Jeff a picture of a device. And I said, do you know what this is? Now, this is going to be a very visual thing for me and Jeff. It's a thing. It may be part of the cover art for this week. So if you're confused, I'll definitely put it in if you look at the cover of this week's episode.
I think I know what it is based off of the second one you have posted, but
okay.
I'm not. Like my first thought, like the dirty mind in me is like, is this a weird butt plug?
Okay, so the thing that inspired me I posted this on the nass Reddit, and I just posted it as the EDC or something like that. I can't remember what. Let me go back. Thoughts on this for EDC? And there's this orange T-shaped device. And yeah. Well, it was inspired by a thing in the CCW sub that had what they called some sort of plastic knuckle duster thing.
Yeah, those are popular.
It's a force multiplier, and he just carries that and a knife, and that's all he needs because he's got that force multiplier.
I bet he's never punched a bag with it.
Probably not. But when I saw this device, it also is T-shaped, but then it's got another little, I don't know, T
like
in
shelf?
the middle of it. Yeah.
Like
and then it has like a penis-looking end to it, and you're like supposed to punch people with that end, if I'm not mistaken. I don't
wait. Is it supposed to insert? And those are like the arrowhead
like
barbs
stop.
that are supposed to like
well,
prevent
I think
it from.
it's to prevent over insertion. I think perhaps in case the plastic stabs someone. I don't know. It's just supposed to be like this punching device, and there's pocket knife. It's for punching.
As someone who. I'm just going to say professionally punches human beings on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Don't ever fucking buy any of the knuckle duster key between. Don't put a key between your knuckles. Don't put any of the plastic brass knuckles. Don't put any of that fucking shit on your hand ever.
It's made by Combat Technologies Incorporated. You can buy it for $10 at dragonimpact.com.
All of those words make my heart hurt.
I know. I know. It's only missing tactical.
I mean, if you put Patriot 1776 on the end of it, it would just be
They have a blue
red,
one.
white, and blue.
They have a blue one and a clear one. They do not have a white or a red one.
Those.
Otherwise, you can get green,
bastards.
green, black, or my favorite, brown.
Yes.
Okay. So there's that. But now the other device that I sent you the picture of,
yes,
is what the previous thing is what inspired me to send this to you. Do you know what this bright orange T device is? You thought maybe it was some weird butt plug?
Well, the dirty part of my mind wanted to make that joke, but the first part of my brain was like, is that like, do you like stick it into as a barrel block or like a cleaning device for a short barreled gun? Like that was the first thing that popped into my head before I'm like, what the fuck? Why does it have fins?
Well, in this case, those actually are barbs. This device is called the butt out.
Oh no.
It is actually used for a butt, but not a human butt. It's for a deer butt. That flat plate most of the way up the shaft, well, that's to, stop it. And so you insert this into the rectum of the deer after you kill it. It's supposed to be aiding in gutting the deer. I'm not even sure what point pulling the rectum out of it and cutting it off is. I don't do that. I just cut around it to get it all out when I'm gutting a deer. But it's literally a product called the butt out.
I wasn't wrong. No. Oh, God, no.
But because you have zero experience hunting, I was like, this is going to be funny. I'm going to send this to Jeff and see if he knows what it is.
I wasn't wrong, but for very wrong reasons.
Oh, no, this is not an object you're ever going to see on Savage Paramedics that got someone inserted. Like, I don't think anyone's dumb enough to do this one. I mean, a peanut butter jar, yes. The butt out, probably not.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
That's funny. That's very, very funny. Anyway, if you don't know what the butt out is, just Google butt out.
Yes, please do, and post your results.
Post what your results are. If you want to do it so that it's not NSFW, if you just also add the word hunter's specialties or shields, then you'll get the thing we're talking about.
You're still getting gay porn. I guarantee you're getting gay porn.
Probably. Actually, when I typed in butt out, the first thing that popped up was just like the dictionary definition of butt out. Like, get out of here, butt out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was relatively PG. So there you go. Okay. We were talking last week. We were talking about drills and how drills are overrated, and you're like, drills are dumb. I'm going to set up a thing and I'm going to do the whatever, and I mostly agree with you. But I wanted to talk about when drills are really smart to do.
Ooh, yeah.
So I think drills are really smart to do when there's a very, very, very specific thing that you keep fucking up. You know, like there's something that is just not working. Like, I cannot get my feet to go when I want them to go. I am in this constant state of I get done shooting, I lower the gun, then I run. Or, which is a weird example. For me, it usually happens when I start, over tensing my firing hand because it's not tense enough on the gun in the first place, and I start pulling shots down. Yeah, that's like my number one thing I start screwing up. I
have a response to this one, like an actual good response. I have 3 drills that I think are super highly useful and everyone should do them. I've stolen all of them from Ben because he taught them to us in a class, and I was like, these are fucking brilliant. So, designated target. That one, you have I usually use a steel as my start target, and then you transition to another target, then you go back to the steel, then you go back to another target, back to the steel, back to the target, back to the steel, back to the target, back to the steel. What it does is it's supposed to make you patient as you go back to that steel, but you're also transitioning with a stressor. Like you're actively going from target to target to target. So I think that one's a good general drill for me.
Yep. Well, and it hits lots of things like patience coming in, and also just transitions, like going, because you don't have to do it in like a specified order. You could pick whatever order.
Well, and
to do it,
because some days I just pick one order and I just try to burn it down as quickly as possible. Other days I choose a different order every about 4 magazines. That one's great. We also training with Lane has taught me to make targets so obscenely difficult that it's not fun, and so our no shoots there's like an inch of alpha, and so it makes it extra fun. Or get partials. Do things put the no shoot where you think that it will catch your bullets. That's the point of the no shoot. That one will teach you how to be more patient. Following that line, now I'm forgetting the name of it. It's the one where you have a target 20 yards, 12 yards, 5 yards.
Oh,
not distance change-up.
No, that's not it.
Accelerator. Yeah. Accelerator is a fantastic drill to teach you the respect that each target deserves at its given distance. Because you see this a lot, especially with kind of upper level C, lower level B class shooters, is that their transition's fucking garbage. And every time they go to a target, they go ba-ba, ba-ba, ba-ba. But it doesn't matter how far that target is or how hard that target is. They just split it at the exact same pace.
Uh-huh.
A target at 25 yards, regardless if you're a GM or a C-class shooter, should probably be bop-bop. And a target at 5 yards should be bop-bop.
Yeah.
And you need to teach yourself the respect that each one deserves. And I think Accelerator does a fantastic job of doing that. There's a modified version of that one is the one where you do a build drill up close and then you immediately transition and do 2. I know Ben and X-Ray Alpha really like that one.
MXAD. Yeah, that was
Matt Pranka.
I couldn't think of his name. It's X-Ray Alpha is all I ever see on Instagram. I couldn't think of his actual name.
Right.
That was Pranka's drill.
He really likes that one. Again, it's just about catching yourself and slowing down to give the respect to the target that it deserves. So yeah, that is that one's use case, and you learn that there is a difference between going slow to fast rather than fast to slow. You will have different times, even if you don't move the targets. It's so weird. Your brain is just oh, that one's super far, so bop, bop. And then you get faster as you come in. And then the next round, when you go faster as you go, or slower as you go out, you're going to just split some shit on that 25 yarder. And you're going to be like, what in the hell was I doing?
No, the next time I go to the range for an actual practice session, I'm going to be doing a lot of MXAD because I shot a club match at my club last week, and I had 2 mics, and one of them was on a wide open 10-yard target.
Because that's where experts will miss.
The other one, guess how long that one was?
I'm going to guess inside 7 yards.
It was 1 yard.
Correct.
Yeah, 1 yard.
Me and Lane have discussed this many, many times, is that experts in shooting know to give the respect to a target past 10 yards. Within 10 yards, our ego gets involved, and we try.
Oh, like, inside 3 yards, you're like, I don't need to make sure of anything. I just do it, and magic happens, and I'll have 2 alpha.
Exactly, and so that's for like A's to GMs, like 80% of their mics are likely to be 10 yards and in.
Oh yeah,
like so. And then the last drill is the stop go drill. The one, so for those of you who don't know,
ladders.
It's basically ladders. So there's 4 cones. You start at 1, and there's a target in front of each cone. So you go cone 1 to cone 2, and you shoot it. You go back to cone 1, shoot that one. Then you go to cone 3, shoot that one. Go back to cone 1, shoot it. Go to cone 4, shoot it. Go back to cone 1, shoot it. And like that one's really good for teaching you how much actual stability you need to deal with a problem, and it's less than you think it is. So people who harp on stance, I'm like, let me shoot this popper at 20 yards on 1 foot. Like,
as long as you're stable, like if you're relatively athletic, I mean, being on 1 foot is not, I mean, it's better to be on 2. I mean, right. I will agree it's better to be on 2, but if you're pretty athletic, there's not really a big deal of being on 1. One thing I find interesting, people get really wigged out about like shaky bridges. Yeah. Now, part of it could be because I'm heavy. Once I stop moving, it stops moving pretty quickly as long as I stay still. Right. The other thing is that with something like that, if you just as long as you're able to keep your feet, like some of them, like you can't even keep your feet because there's weird stuff happening under your feet. So that's different. But like the one you guys have, it's just a platform, right? It's just a flat platform.
The one we have is set up like a bridge, but it's just 4 chains holding a bridge shaped object.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the one at Iowa too. And as long as you just sort of, I'm not going to think about it, it's not really a big problem. It really isn't.
One of the things that when I'm talking to people about like higher level shooting is the idea of disconnecting your feet from your hands. Now that's another drill. The bar hop is kind of that's a drill to work on this. But like I never do the bar hop drill. It annoys me. But like
I bust it out whenever I'm struggling to the thing I will do wrong is I will drag the gun with me as I move.
Yep.
And what that's really good for is keep your eyes where you want them as you start moving, and you will subconsciously move the gun outward as you're moving to keep it in the spot you want without consciously doing it, you know.
Right.
And that's why that's a good one, but
right. And so I focus on like what is the gun doing in my hands, what my feet and body are doing. I don't actually pay attention to, because it's one of those things is like once you become an expert in something, you don't think about where your body is going. Your body just knows to respond to the things. Now, I know I'm not a champion. I know I'm not Stager. I'm not fucking Nils, whatever. But like I am a high level kickboxer. Like I fight people on a regular basis, and I have to stop and go back. My students are like, oh, where do I step? And I'm like, where do you step? I don't even know. I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, sometimes you have to kind of think through it to
right. I literally have to go back and think about it, because like my body is so in tune that I'm like, I want to throw my right kick, and next thing I know, my right kick is where I want it to be, and like I don't think about it because my feet they already know what they're supposed to be doing. Now, again, I've been doing this sport for coming on 8 years now. Like I've been doing it for a minute, but I feel like sometimes people get so caught up in the minutia of it that what they just need to do is disconnect your feet and your hands. And
but how do I do that, Jeff? How do I do that? I have a way of doing that. This is how I learned it. And I don't know, maybe somebody had a drill where they do this, but the way I learned to like start learning to disconnect my feet from my upper body was I would aim at one target, like on the beep dry firing. I aim at one target and then I walk, but I just keep aiming at the target. No matter what direction I walk, I just keep aiming at the one target because it's you don't have to think about keep gun on target. Like it's simple. You're not like trying to do a bunch of other shit. So like that's like the base level of separate upper from lower body. You know, I started off with it really simple. I just walked towards it. And that made learning to shoot on the move a little easier, and then it also makes, you know, leaving and entering positions a little easier. So just a little tidbit. Okay, we have to hit the Reddit here quick before we get Ben Barry on. Let's see. And some of these are for him, so I'm going to hold off on those. Oh, now that you know you, Andy, are the A3 director, what are your goals for your time in the position? Also would be, that's also for Ben. What are my goals for my time in the position? I wouldn't say I have goals at this point. Like there's a number of things I would like to see happen. Specifically just whatever, like I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers for everything either. And, but like obviously get the finances worked out. Get a culture on the board that is not looking for problems that aren't actually a problem. We just take care of business on the board. Meetings that don't last 7 hours. Cause I ain't got time for that. Like these 4-hour meetings, that's going to be an absolute max. Like if they keep going on and on and on, and we're still just like
you gotta shut it down. I'm to interject quickly for anyone who's ever been in one of those meetings where someone just keeps fucking talking or people keep going on tangents, just step in and be like, and continuing on the topic we're talking about, or be like, and it sounds like we're done with that one. Let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
Like
that's not my job though. That's the chairman's job, and I'm not the chairman. So
sometimes
honestly,
it doesn't matter who the chairman is.
Robert's rules drags things out. It does make it longer. It makes it
sounds like Robert
take
is a
longer.
Dick.
Well, anyway, I just want the organization to be solvent, and I want to stop chasing fires that aren't a giant problem. Like looking for problems, looking for things to do when like we don't have a budget, as far as I know. Like as we're recording this. Like, I signed my confidentiality agreement. I gave my, whatever, the conflict of interest thing. I got my life membership. I haven't done anything. I don't know anything. I haven't been told anything. I don't know shit. Just from the outside looking in, these are that's the biggest thing. I want the biggest two things. And ultimately, the thing I care about the most is the sport. Like, the game. For love of the game is why I'm bothering to do this. So, the fact that the game has been talked about so little, the administration of the game has been talked about in great detail and minutia and volume. No one's really talked about the game itself much lately, and we'll talk about the game here with Ben coming up as well. But let's see. That's another one for Ben. That's another one for Ben. Actually, these were pretty much all for Ben, I think. Oh, this one wasn't. We all know USPSA HQ has problems. What are reasonable expectations for reform in the next 6 to 12 months? I have no idea. Not a clue. Okay.
The only ones that, yeah.
These are all Ben questions, pretty much. I thought some of them were, well, except for Nolan's crazy ass questions.
I mean, they're fun.
What are the best/worst shooting sports by buy-in? I don't understand that. Like, take this as buy-in to actually competitive beyond the local match. I don't.
okay, so because me and him talked about it a little bit. So like a good example of this would be trap shooting. You would think trap shooting would be one. Hey, I got this old like 12 gauge my grandfather gave me. Like I'm just going to show up and shoot it. But it's like, no, if you want to be like competitive, you need a $12,000 over and under Italian custom fitted whatever. So like, or like PRS, like that one. I mean, you don't get started unless you drop $8,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever those rifles and glass and reloading press. What would you say would be the cheapest sport that you could get into?
Honestly, USPSA is probably the cheapest. I never thought of it as being a cheap shooting sport. Outside NRL 22, probably cheaper than USPSA because ammo's really cheap, or whatever precision 22 league you like.
Right. That is kind of the answers. Some of the bullseyes can get away with like pretty cheap. The NRL 22, I think they have like under $1,200 and an over $1,200
they have like a base class, and so it's like MSRP of your rifle and glass.
Yeah, and so the only competitor to the only other one I could think of would be Steel Challenge. There is no reason that you cannot be competitive in Steel Challenge with a Ruger Mark IV.
Get the heavy one.
Yeah, the 2245.
Get the tactical. Yep, the 2245 tactical.
You could put a Burris Fastfire 3 on the top of that thing.
Yep, $200.
And $200. So you could be into this entire rig for under $600-$700 with magazines and be shooting matches and I mean,
you're a little optimistic on the gun's going to be in the neighborhood of 500.
Yeah,
450 to 500, optic 200. You throw in those magazines are not the cheapest thing ever.
Oh, okay. So throw in five or six magazines. You're set.
They're not like super expensive either, but like
right. So it might be $800, but like, and then all you need is a bag.
Oh, they're like $25. Or they can be $30. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, again,
probably about $800 total for the whole rig.
$800 for total rig, and there is no reason that you cannot compete at an M or GM level with that setup. I know people who have got GM runs in Steel Challenge with that exact setup.
Yeah, no, especially since you don't even need a holster.
Nope.
For the rimfire division. So you don't need a holster. That's another bit of equipment you don't have to screw with.
You don't need mag holders. You don't need a belt. Nope. You don't need any of that bullshit. You just need a bag that separates the gun and the magazines. You walk up and your eye and ears and some ammo, and you're done.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think that's really the best intro sport we have to the shooting world for people who are like, well, I kind of want to be competitive. You're like, try Steel Challenge. That one, I mean,
but these are kind of two different things though. Like, I want to play a shooting sport, okay? Well, trap shooting is really cheap to get into. Like, you can get a $300 shotgun and trap shoot, and you need a belt. You don't have to have the goofy vest that everybody wears. I don't understand that, but like, you kind of need a belt and like a pouch for your empties, and then your live rounds, and that's really it. You know.
Yeah.
That's really all you need.
Right, but
if you want to be competitive, shotguns are stupid.
Right. And yes, and that's where Nolan was going with it, is that idea of like where does the competitive line, like, cuz you're right, USPSA, a Glock 34 with a Burris Fastfire 3 magazines with base pads, you're in it up with a belt and everything, you're in it probably $1,100-$1,200 for the entire setup, and then you're good. You're good. Like, you're Bob Vogel. Like, Bob Vogel made it there. You just need a lot of autism.
Yeah. Well, and the ammo too. That's why if you go with like a rimfire pistol in Steel Challenge, the ammo is cheap. You know, like $10 for 100 mini mags. And you're rocking. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay. Coming to us live from Raleigh, North Carolina, he is a GM. He is the Area 6 director. He is none other than Ben Berry. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're working on a mild drunk. Do you drink when you record your podcast? I'm going to guess you don't.
I don't, but
I think you should.
It certainly would be more entertaining. I typically wait till I hit record, go grab a glass of something, and then sip that while I'm editing. Because at that point, it's usually about an hour of prep, an hour of recording, and an hour of editing. So, by then it's usually 11 o'clock, get it posted around midnight and head to bed.
Oh, well, I guess I spend lots of time editing, but it's just for the funny clips at the beginning, really. Or if, Jeff says something terribly racist, then I'll cut that out or something like that. But usually the editing is just mostly looking for the funny stuff. But anyway, so you live in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
Okay. So is that where you're from originally? Like, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm one of the rare people who has lived in Raleigh, North Carolina my entire life, but only because my parents moved here about 2 years before I was born. They're both from South Carolina, so.
Were you shooting growing up, or was that something you kind of discovered once you saw movies and video games and was like, I want to get?
It wasn't even a video game thing. It was, I actually had a friend in college who shot IDPA with her parents and said, hey, you should come check this out. I think you'd be into this. And I was. And so I started in IDPA, and then I had some buddies that shot both. And so after a couple of years of IDPA, shot some USPSA, and that was 2013, and it's been all downhill since there.
So just over 10 years you've been doing it. We got a bunch of questions that I thought were for us, and actually it turned out a lot of them were for you as well. But
oh boy,
yeah, oh yeah. Like this was one where I started to read it on earlier in the show, and then I kind of backed off. What are reasonable expectations for reform in USPSA in the next 6 to 12 months? That was kind of what I was thinking. Like, shit, I don't know.
I mean, the funny thing is, every single meeting, right? We've had 4 months of meetings now. Every single meeting has gone different from how I expected it. Obviously, the January meeting with the whole effort to oust Frank went completely differently from how I expected it. February went differently. And then, March was the meeting where live streaming didn't happen. That wasn't a total surprise, but it was, So I would say in general, it's hard to really predict the future. But I mean, what I will say is, from my perspective, I think the goal by the end of the year, in my mind, is to have the organization on a trajectory such that 2025 will really be a success. There are a number of things, contracts that are signed to, do a certain number of nationals, all kinds of other things that I'm not sure it's realistic to say we should have a budget that'll break even in 2024. But I think we can lay the groundwork and obviously structure nationals for next year, structure all kinds of things so that going into 2025, not only will we, know what we're going to spend, but we'll actually be able to hit those numbers. And, at the same time, we'll make the procedural changes, make the bylaws changes, so sort of set things up. So, I think a lot of it is going to be laying the table. Very, very little of what needs, in my mind, very little of what needs to be changed is just a matter of, we just need to change from humanoid to turtle targets and everything will be better. No, it's setting up the system so that better outcomes sort of happen as an output of the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Figure out how the business of USPSA should operate and then operate it that way. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's the business side, the budget side, the responsibility side, making sure within the organization all the roles and responsibilities are clear. We're doing all the things we should be doing. We're not doing the things we shouldn't be doing. Famously, there was a lot of ink spilled over the attempt to trademark Hit Factor. To me, that was a distraction. We never should have been in that business. But making sure that we're doing the things that actually make the most difference to the members and provide value in that way. And setting those up, not just as sort of one-off initiatives, but as systems, as programs, as things that are self-sustaining, not necessarily just one person is at the helm of it, and then when their term expires or they get a different job or whatever, then it just kind of peters out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, something I've kind of thought about lately too, just whether it be USPSA or my own local gun club, we're in basically, like, with our gun club, we're in charge of, like, we're not the emperors of the range. I mean, yes, we kind of establish the rules and decide how the money's spent. But one thing I keep thinking is, there's big projects we'd really like, but it's a lot of times it's for, like, our pet projects. Like, we'd like to build a new clubhouse, and yes, that'd be for everyone, but mostly it's so we have big storage for all our USPSA and rifle shooting crap. And then I think about, okay, well, what would be something that would actually impact members as a whole? Like, what would be a nice thing we could do with this money that our club makes for all the members, not just a few of them? What in USPSA could be done that would actually affect all members? And I'm completely blindsiding you with a random question, I freely admit.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think so. Almost by definition, the only two things that every single member interacts with are the rulebook and the classifier system. And so I think not everybody goes to definitely not everybody goes to nationals. I think something like 10% of active members shoot a level 2 match.
Really? It's that low?
I'd have to double check. I saw some not confidential numbers, but I think it was Competition Shooting Analytics had but it's in the 10 to 20% range.
Huh.
But every time you go to shoot a level 1 match, you interact with the rulebook and to some degree the classifier system, assuming the match you go to has classifiers, which pretty much they all do. So, and then there's things that we could be doing that we're not. So the classic example is something along the lines of just having more support for local clubs, whether it's information, resources, having a program for starting new clubs up. I mean, I certainly think it is interesting that as a USPSA organization, as far as I'm aware, and again, everything I say here is just what I've seen, what I've heard. Things might be happening and I might not be aware of them. But as far as I'm aware, there has not been a drive or an initiative to reach out to ranges and try and get matches started. And obviously in some places that's more needed, right? So in the area of the Southeast where I am, matches fill up in a day or less, where I know, Andy, you've mentioned that a club match for you guys might be 20 or 30 folks.
Yeah, we had two squads at our last club match, and there was 11 on each squad, 22 people.
Yeah.
Look at you expanding.
And that's what's so weird about the sport is the needs of, I mean, for lack of a better term, like the city folks versus the rural folks. It's very different. And obviously higher population densities where driving an hour or two, you've got a dozen matches, whereas, guys out in your neck of the woods, 2 hours might be their closest club match.
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
Is there a gun club that could host another match closer? Probably. But to bring it back to, so there's that's sort of leaving out all the stuff that we're not even doing right now, but of the stuff that USPSA does right now that does impact every single member, I think it's the rule book and the classifier system. And I think, there are a number of things that I could bring up with related to either, but I think with the rule book, to me, the number one thing is just the clarity. Have rules that people can remember. Have rules that don't change all that often. I'm one of these guys where I still think that moving away from a paper rule book to the rule book in the app sort of lifted a constraint that was actually probably productive to have, right? So when it's a costly endeavor to revise the rule book, because and at that time, when you revised the rule book, you mailed a new copy of the rule book out to everyone. That's part of what you got for your previously $40, now $65.
Excuse me, I paid $1,000 for my life membership yesterday.
Well,
Thank you very
yes,
much.
yes. You can join us in the Life Member Lounge.
Yes.
Make sure to alert your stewardess when you arrive on the plane. But you get what I'm saying. I mean, it used to be that for your membership, you got, whenever the rule book was revised, you just got a rule book sent to you. Well, now you got to go buy it yourself on Amazon. They're not that expensive, but still, there's, to me.
Oh, is there like a permanent like thing on there? You can just go buy it.
Well,
or do you have to like submit it because like, because there's that release page. Like if a member wants to print it, there's the release or whatever.
So if you go to Amazon, they have a print on demand copy of the rule book.
No shit.
Yeah, and it's like $12, which isn't
not bad.
Outrageous. To me, the thing that's annoying about it is it prints at 8.5 by 11 size.
Oh God.
Which even looking at it, it's obviously not really formatted for that. It's still formatted to be what the old rule books were, which is 5 by 8.
Yeah.
So I would actually, and I would prefer a 5 by 8 version. But anyway, right? It used to be for your membership, you got when a rule book was updated, you got a copy of the rule book sent to you. So to me, the whole discussion last year when they were talking about raising membership fees was kind of backwards, because in a lot of ways, membership dues haven't gone up in however many years, but what you actually get for your membership has actually gone down in the 10 years that I've been in the sport.
I haven't thought of it that way, but you're right. Like my first membership, I got a copy of the 2014 rule book in the mail, in my welcome packet. And
if they had revised it, they would have sent you another one.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter about it, but I made GM in April of 2017, which is month.
Was that before it was hard or after?
It was actually easier. It was easier then. That was actually right before they bumped the production hit factors.
Which is that's like one of the most interesting things about this sport is that they didn't update it for the longest time. And so and I'm not trying to shit on you, but like, I'm like, damn, Jeff, do you think I'd be a GM in 2016 if Carry Optics existed?
Well, you beat me, and I shoot at the same level as a GM that made it under that rule set. So, yes. I don't know if I should be throwing too much shade, but double fashions.
There's a real thing there, right? Are you a 2017 GM in production?
Are you a 2020 GM?
Because no, honestly, those are two very different things. And after got quite a bit harder.
After these classifiers in are you a 2013 GM or 2023 GM?
Yeah. How many 23s do you have on your record on that G card?
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen several that even the dudes that got hundos on them were like, I don't even want this hundo. Like, it feels dirty.
96% run with 5 Charlies and a makeup shot. And I'm like, yeah. Okay.
I mean, when they're new, it's like, it's tough to nut that. I mean, more data would have been better, obviously. We
got it right in 22.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I'm going to throw a curveball in this one. How hard is it to fly like the 5 best dudes in the nation out and be like, hey, here's the 6 stages we want to make classifiers out of. Shoot them 5 times each. We'll take your aggregate score. Boom. Like, we all know who.
So there are 9 divisions in the sport. So,
but only 5 of them matter.
Okay, but still, that's we have to set a revolver high hit factor. We have to set.
Okay, so
get Jerry.
We have like 3 guys. Well, Jerry hasn't shot USPSA in forever, has he?
But he's been shooting that revolver. So you know.
But yeah, when's the last time he actually stuck a reload on the clock? So I think what they did with the 22 series and what they're doing with the 24s right now is the way to go, and for a few reasons. One is you get feedback on how the stages are built. So, for example, you don't end up with the infamous 4-foot wall in the 23 classifier that actually in the original version did something, but now it doesn't. But also, I think I actually think you can get a reasonable high hit factor without even necessarily needing all that many GM scores. This is something I've been talking to Kurt McKenna from Competition Shooting Analytics about, and his whole method has to do with basically taking a data set and plotting it on the curve of what we basically know the score distribution is going to look like. And so even if you have mostly A and B and M class runs, as long as you've got the middle of the curve, you can actually plot it out reasonably well without having to have all that many GMs shoot it. So I think there are definitely approaches that could be taken there.
So the middle of the curve matters more than the high end?
Not necessarily, but you're going to have more data points in the middle.
Oh,
just by
sure.
definition.
Yeah, because there's more average shooters than there are super high-end shooters.
Right. And you also, when you have a prospective classifier, you might have either people who set it up wrong, and so they get unrealistically high. High
Zero,
runs,
hero.
but those should cluster, right? Yes, and then you have the zero hero guys. So I think there are definitely ways that, and this gets back to the fact that the classifier system and the rule book are the thing that everybody interacts with, and so to me, getting those two things right, I think is very important. And I think there are ways to do that. Again, I think the 22 series set a really good precedent, and I think we're on a good track with the 24 series. And I think those are really the main things to focus on in terms of making sure every member gets value out of their membership, and then ideally, also resources. And I don't know exactly what form it takes, but resources around helping clubs get started, making clubs even aware that they can run matches, basically, in the areas where the constraint is not enough clubs, not enough slots at matches. How do you grow that so that the sport, if somebody watches a YouTube video and wants to get into USPSA, but all the matches fill up in an hour, that's a problem.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, how do we address that? Because as we talked about, by you, that's a problem. By us, that's not necessarily a problem. So we don't.
Yeah, that's a problem I
deal with it.
never perceived until I heard you talking about on your podcast,
Right.
Ben.
Yeah, and so because I shot out in Colorado, they have the same problem. Is that I only was able to get into the match because a buddy of mine was in the super secret Facebook club that was hey, here's the early check-in, or here's the here's the check-in. You better hit it. And if I wouldn't have been on my phone signing up for it it was Dragons Cup or Nationals or
Right.
a major, I wouldn't have got into a local match.
Right.
That's how intense it is. And how do we fix that? Is there a way to incentivize match directors to be hey, I know you spend 2 days on the range for $0. Could you run a second day?
So that's something where I think the problem is out there. I have ideas, but I think it's definitely, that would be much more of a, let's actually point the whole cognitive ability of the organization at solving that problem instead of all the other things that we're having to chase our tail on. So, I think definitely either adding a second day to the match or adding a second match in the calendar is kind of the no-brainer solution, in the sense that it's at a club that already has the props. So you don't have to get more target stands, right? At most clubs, the target stands, the walls, the fault lines, they get used one day out of the month. And if you can double that utility and run two matches, whether it's 2 consecutive Sundays or 2 Saturdays, not necessarily back to back, although if that works, you leave the stages up. Some people shoot Saturday and then a different flight shoots Sunday and you tear down. I think there are a lot of different ways to address it, but I think addressing that problem head on instead of just treating that as sort of, that's a problem for clubs and sections is something that we should be looking at. And to go back to the flip side of it for the guys in the more rural areas, I don't know what the distribution of gun clubs is for you guys, but if it is something where the closest match to you is 2 hours away, well, is there a club an hour away where
it's usually not there are 2 clubs near Sioux Falls. One's 20 minutes away, one's 25, 30. After that, you got from Sioux Falls, you got an hour south to Sioux City. After that, you got 2.5 hours to Wilmer, Minnesota, or Omaha, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
After that, you're looking at Minneapolis, north of the Twin Cities, which is more like 5 hours. And that, well, I guess there's Pine Island. There's some other clubs a little bit closer, but it is much more spread out. But like matches filling up in 5 seconds, I don't think is really even a problem for like the Twin Cities clubs.
But I'm saying on the opposite end of, the problem for you guys is having to drive 2 hours for a local.
Yeah.
So if you can find a club that isn't currently hosting a match and set up one.
The problem is, though, even ranges that would have the facilities for USPSA, like, they're pretty far and few between. Out here, it's like South Dakota is the pheasant hunting capital of the world. You looking for trap shooting? We got it. You looking for sporting clays? We got it. You looking for 5 pistol bays on a shooting range?
There's 4 in the state.
Yeah, there's 4 in the whole state, and it's a not small geographic area.
And when we say state, our state is 4 to 5 times the length of your state, and like because Nebraska is the same way. Is Omaha has a fairly vibrant club, and then there's not another major club around us for 2.5 hours. Like there's ranges, and we have reached out to them, and they have kindly told us to go fuck off, or the match director at that club moved on, and no one stood up to take his position. None of the 11 people that shot that match decided they were going to step up, and so so that club died. But yeah, like we talked about earlier on the podcast, I shoot one in Alliance, Nebraska, which is like it's an hour and a half drive for me to get to.
Well, from Omaha, it's what, 6 hours?
7 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 7 hours for me. But like
in the Panhandle,
10 people show up to it, and I think the shortest drive or the longest drive is like 2.5 hours to get there. So like and they're like, yeah, this one or going 4 hours up into like the western part of South Dakota are the only matches that they have access to. And like Andy said, this range built pistol bays on request of the USPSA guys because they just had 1,000-yard rifle range. And they were like, oh, we just shoot because there's no farms for 10 miles. Like you can shoot 50s there because the bullet will hit the ground before it hits anything.
Yeah.
So
you alluded a little earlier to something I wanted to ask you, sort of old school controversy in USPSA, like rules. Like you don't really hear people bitching about rules, like rules of the game in the last year or so. But I know that the outside of like equipment division rules, that's always, especially like enhanced optics and all that. But what rules do you think should be changed? Or what's a rule that would be changed? Not necessarily an equipment rule, but if that's all you got, that's fine. But is there something out there that's kind of your bugaboo?
Well, I mean, I think, again, just speaking personally, I haven't run this up the flagpole. I've not tried to push this internally, but something that is on my list that I would like to have a conversation about is the policy around video evidence and just the complete prohibition of even looking at it. I mean, not every video is completely convincing, but to me, as an RM, as a CRO, part of your job is to take, hey, you've got, an RO that says, I think I saw this, and you have to weigh evidence at the end of the day, and not even being allowed to look at relevant video evidence, I think that's a policy that I think goes back to 2017 is the number that's coming to mind for me. And I definitely think that should be revisited. If we have the data, let's use it. You don't have to believe it. You can say, yeah, that video doesn't really change my mind. Mm-hmm. But especially if it's a nationals or an area match where someone's traveled a long way, at least look at it.
Especially if it's something simple. There's certain things that are going to be tough to see on video, but there's things that are really easy to see if it's in the frame, like a foot fault. Like I remember at Great Plains when it was in Omaha, Jeff, I remember Tom giving me a foot fault in Bay 5, and I'm like, bullshit, I didn't have my foot down. I looked at the video and fuck, my foot was on the ground when I shot that shot. Damn. Okay.
And
but like,
and that creates a controversy because there is the rule. Because a buddy of mine, he's the one that came up with the hit factor rule set, and one of his is video evidence. If it benefits the shooter, can be acted upon. Well, technically, like that wouldn't benefit the shooter. So if they were rewatching it for another reason and they're like, oh, there's a very obvious foot fault. Shit, we can't call that, but we definitely know you did it. Like, I get where the controversy comes from. There's a famous Hunter Constantine video where you see him reload going up to what looks like the 180 fault line, and then someone else pointed out that like it wasn't a 180 fault line, and so it like threw off the perspective, especially for those of us that weren't at the match, and he probably did break the 180, but everyone had a heart attack over it.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think first person video for 180 breaks is really sketchy, but that's where having your buddy videoing you can really save your bacon. I mean, I've literally seen this with my own two eyes. I was at the 2017 IPSC Nationals at Frostproof, and because it was run under IPSC rules, we had a guy. It was a U-shaped shooting area. Guy was in the back right corner. It was maybe 24 feet, corner to corner, back left to back right. He starts to run over from the back right corner to the back left, does a reload moving right to left, and the scorekeeper, the assistant RO, who was over at the back left corner, so 20, 25 feet away, called him for a 180 break. Well, the guy's buddy was videoing him standing over that assistant RO's shoulder. And so they had video from the position the assistant RO was in. Range master rolls up, guy gets DQ'd, guy not arbitrates it. He just asks, hey, call the range master. Range master rolls up, looks at the video, and is like, yep, put him back in the match, move on. It was a non-thing.
How long did that take?
But
I mean, the actual discussion was only a few minutes, but obviously it took a couple minutes for the RM to drive over on the gator.
Oh, sure, but like any call contested, that would be the same case. Like that's not
but
different.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and it was one of those where, right, he was out of the match when he was restored. They just dropped him to the bottom of the shooting order, and he had his mags loaded because he figured he was going to get back in the match, and
and then it's just a reshoot.
Right.
Well, I think that again, because me and a buddy have had the conversation about like it depends on where the cameras are set and like
100%.
what angle
100%,
it is at. Because like that Frostproof, I have seen a 180 reversed by video in 2021. Yeah, 2021, and then that same dude pointed a gun at me on another stage and didn't get DQ'd. So it has its pluses and minuses. Like.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying video is conclusive. It can be very deceptive.
No.
ROs, and RMs should be very choosy about what they take into account. But again, and the argument once upon a time was, well, not everybody has a camera. If your buddy's videoing you, isn't there a competitive equity difference? And it's like, I mean,
everybody's got a phone. Don't give me that.
Well, everybody's got a phone, and at the same time, right? Okay, somebody's got a $2,600 Shadow 2 and you've got a $600 Glock, right? I mean, like,
how is that fair? How did I beat you, Jeff, with a Glock and your Shadow 2?
Alcohol.
Yeah. as long as everybody has equal access, not necessarily equal outcome, but equal access to, if you want to have video, then to me that.
Yeah.
But again, that's just my perspective on it. That is a discussion that I look forward to having. But as it is right now, there's been, I mean, just to be completely honest, a lot of the discussions internally within the board have been about much more serious things, financial issues, structural issues, management issues. And so it just hasn't really seemed like the time to really go and pick that battle.
I can't wait to be part of that. Okay, I have one more thing I want to ask you. Is that you, Jeff, or Ben?
Oh, sorry. No,
No, go ahead if you had a thing, because we don't have video here, so I have no idea when Jeff wants to ask something.
So I just want to ask a quick question. What do you think about the rule of requiring a reload before the last shot as a way to not make every stage 25 rounds? I don't know if that is something that your clubs do, but our club, or at least my club, has a tendency to try to set stages close to carry optics
reload requirement.
Right, to like encourage the reload. And we, the hit factor rule set has a rule like, hey, we can tell you must reload between your first shot and your last shot, or it's a procedural. What's your thought on that idea?
I think that's actually a really good option for structuring stages. So for 2.5 years now, I've actually been involved with a local indoor range where we run a 4-stage monthly match. And when we were setting it up, we explicitly chose to run it as an outlaw time plus format, but with very USPSA-ish rules. So most of the stages are stay within the fault lines, shoot where you can see. But occasionally we'll do stuff like, and this gets into other things, but hey, all shots through this port have to be strong hand only. Right. So it's the one-handed shooting is integrated into the stage, but it's in a way that can be adjudicated. So I think, we've done some interesting experimentation with stuff like that. But actually what you're talking about is something that I kind of stumbled on at some point or heard from somewhere. And I started using that. And I think it actually solves a number of problems in the sense that it makes it so at this match, guys, if they want to shoot, if they want to practice reloading to their carry optics big sticks, they can. But if it's a 16, 18, 20 round stage and everybody just has to reload somewhere, everybody's doing the same number of reloads. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to adjudicate. You're not having to count. I think in a practical sense, it's actually the way a lot of 15 round production gets enforced. If you actually ask ROs, are they counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? No, it's if this is a 20 round stage and the guy he shoots 8 targets, right? He's shot 8 targets twice. Well, that's 16 rounds. He should be at slide lock. If he's not, by the time he goes to the last 4 shots, well, then there's something weird there. So basically you're looking for that reload somewhere during the stage. But if it's a 12 round stage, if the guy doesn't shoot more than 4 makeups, then you wouldn't expect to reload. So not quite the same thing, but I think in terms of, I definitely think we see high round count stages in USPSA to force a reload. And I will say, I think that's something that IDPA actually got right in the era where they were trying to test reloads without having very high round count stages, because in IDPA basically every stage was 12 rounds because that was the magic number where everyone from revolver to SSP, everybody had to do a single reload. And so you saw a lot of 12 round stages, which is not, that part of it wasn't ideal, but yeah, I think having the ability to just enforce it by, hey, is there a mag on the ground somewhere? Right. You can count that much more easily than you can count 10 shots, 15 shots, or even gauge magazines, to be honest.
So I like stories. And so just as a quick heads up for this question, what is the best story you have while shooting or watching someone shoot or whatever? Like, I mean, just crazy shit that happens. Like, one of my favorite USPSA shooting stories was at Area 3 a few years ago. And this isn't like a pleasant story or a good story, but it's an interesting story. Our squad was next on a stage, and it was one of the very big stages, and it wasn't a goofy prop or anything, but so there had been a lot of DQs on the stage, and there were some down the 180 shots, but it wasn't crazy. It wasn't dumb. And as we're sitting there watching it, I'm sitting there at the table in the back at the range in Grand Island. There's the table and the shelter or whatever, and I'm just kind of hanging near the shelter in the shade. And one of the staff members is behind the table, like where the scoring was happening. And while this old guy, and this guy is like 70, he's very fat, he's wearing overalls, he's just out there having a good time. And while he's shooting, he goes to shoot some targets off to the right, and the staff member who's 3 feet to my right goes, "Stop!" He's 25 yards behind the guy. Like perpendicular 25 yards to the 180, and he called a 180 DQ. It was the most amazing thing I ever saw. It was, and if it wasn't just like, Mr. Aw Shucks, I guess I'm going home. Like, he took it as well as you can imagine. I would have lost my mind. It was the most egregious DQ I ever saw. Whether or not he did it is irrelevant. That guy did not see it. Like,
yeah, there's no way. There's no way you can call it.
It was bananas. Now,
Area 3 is legendary for that.
oh, he was not asked back, from what I understand. But any like crazy story, it could be funny, it could be that, any story like that. Before we get to the silliness,
I mean, so what that makes me think of is I was shooting, and this would have been a. Oh man, I'm trying to make sure I get the year right. It would probably be 2013, 2014. It doesn't really matter. What you need to know is it was an IDPA match, but it was right after I'd taken the USPSA level 1 RO class, right? And the thing that that we were part of running the classes, understanding when you stop a shooter, and just the idea of very assertively using the stop range command. And so I'd taken that class sometime in the spring, and then I'm at this IDPA match, and for whatever reason, because IDPA is funny and sometimes does things like this, well, first of all, Chrono at IDPA, they take your bullets, but they shoot it out of their gun.
what?
So they have... Yeah, they have a gun for each division, and if your ammo doesn't make power factor out of their gun, I think maybe they bring you over and make you shoot it out of your gun. I'm not sure. It never happened to me, but it was like, for SSP, they'll have a Glock 17.
Well, I could see the efficiency in that. As long as they allow me, like if I'm not making it, they do it in my gun, then I kind of see that, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, well, and so the part that makes it even better is, so that there's a guy coming around, and I'm 2 or 3 shooters down on the stage, and so I'm watching the guy shoot, and the guy comes up and he asks me, hey, what's your bullet weight? Because I guess not only are they shooting the ammo through their guns, they're taking declared bullet weight. And I told him 135s, and then I realized as he's walking away, oh wait, no, I loaded up 147s for this match. So what do? I just turn, and the first thing I do is I yell at him, I go, stop! And I go running after him, right? Because I'm about to fail Chrono, right? I got to stop this guy before he gets too far away. And I just book it off. I yell stop, and I run off the range. I get the whole bullet weight thing sorted out, and I walk back, and everybody's looking at me like, what is wrong with you? And at that point, I realized, oh, yeah.
Don't
Whoops.
yell stop at a match.
And it was the guy who was shooting got a reshoot, and I actually happen to know the RO and the scorekeeper on that stage, so all I got from it was it was just one of those stories. But yeah, it was one of those where it was the first thing on the tip of my tongue. I was kind of absent-minded, and I was just like stop, and just took off running because I didn't want to fail Chrono, because I have so many problems with declared bullet weight. But if nothing else, it, like a lot of the way that modern Chrono is run, anybody who wants to cheat is going to be able to cheat, and anybody who just makes an honest mistake is going to get absolutely screwed.
Yeah.
I was running Chrono at North Carolina last year, and we had a guy who had 2 batches of round nose reloaded bullets. They were reloaded with blue bullets, and he didn't realize that he'd mixed in round nose 124s and round nose 147s. And the bullet that we pulled to pull the weight from was a 124. But then most of the bullets that he gave us for velocities were 147s.
Oh no.
And it came down to the last bullet. He just, it was the classic, okay, do you want to pull the last one or shoot it? And I don't remember whether we pulled it or shot it, but either way, it was the 8th bullet was enough. It was a 124, which brought the average velocity up enough. But it was one of those where this guy, either batch of ammo would have passed, no problem.
Yeah,
but
he just screwed up, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, round nose, and just dumped him into a box together, and had been shooting him all day. And I just, that's, to me, that's however we can, structure the rules where inadvertent mistakes are not punished, but actual cheating is. To me, that's how we should structure the rules.
And that happens with, there was one time where I thought I was getting screwed by Chrono at Iowa section, and I'm like, this is bullshit. I made major just fine at the last match I went to when I was at Area 3. Well, the ammo I was shooting was not the same ammo. I had been loading more. Mm-hmm. And when I got home, I checked my powder measure, and it was dumping 0.2 of a grain less powder than it had been before. And oh, okay, maybe this is my fault. But like, it's not like I was cheating. I get that, like, okay, if my ammo just doesn't make it, it doesn't make it. But
Right.
it's not like I was trying to cheat either. It was just like I screwed up, and yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why, right? Even if you don't make power factor, you still get to shoot. But to me, the flip side of that is the way the certified ammo program works right now, where I mean, it's like, I mean, they're just there are a lot of different angles on there. But to me, it's like why. Go ahead.
You mean a certain sponsored shooter could show up with ammo not in the boxes and say, yeah, my sponsor loaded these and then come in under power factor by 2 or 3 points.
Yep. That's a real issue. But again, it's completely unnecessary in the sense that we can weigh the bullet, we shoot it out of your gun, and then we can measure its velocity. We have all the data points we need to determine whether it's making power factor.
Yeah.
The idea that because it was, I mean, it all comes from the idea of IPSC match ammo, right? Where you fly to a foreign country where it's not a big deal. I mean, it's something of a big deal, but it's manageable to fly with a couple of guns, but flying with hundreds of rounds of ammo, especially, like there are some countries where the ammo freaks them out a lot more than the guns because the guns are serial numbered and all that.
Yeah.
And so you just roll up to the range and they hand you a stack of ammo. Well, obviously you can't be responsible for making sure that ammo chronos in your gun because you had no choice. But even certified match ammo, even if I was going to a match and I had bought a bunch of boxes of Syntec, I would chrono it just to make sure that it chronoed out of my gun. If you have the opportunity to have access to the ammo supply before the match, it's on you to make sure it makes power factor, whether it's got the magic label on it or not. But that's just my beef. And, there are all kinds of other issues around, if your barrel's shot out, but the calibration is shot through a, tight new gun. It introduces all these issues that just didn't need to exist, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing on chrono and whatever before we move on, just one thing. That new Garmin radar chrono is going to simplify chrono forever. That thing is cool. It's stupid easy to run. It doesn't have all these little... several friends of mine have bought one, and it's like you don't need to read the manual. It's so simple. You can figure it out, and you just start shooting it, and it just works. And the lab radars are cool, but they're very finicky, especially with open guns. And I've been to like Wisconsin section. You and I shot, Jeff, in 2021. They had to throw. They didn't do chrono because they couldn't get it to work with the lab radars. So. This new Garmin chrono is cool, and I look forward to using one.
Did I ever tell you the idea that me and my buddy had for those to do a better chrono?
What?
Put them on a stage. Put a window like 10 yards out so the open guns don't blast it and then whatever.
Protect them with steel, yep.
Exactly. And you put 2 Garmins under it so you get 2 readings.
Oh, dude.
And so you're getting the actual, like, what they use on the stage. And you don't tell anybody
what stage you're doing it on.
Right,
what is this box? Nothing.
Right. You're just like, oh yeah, like don't worry about that window, like whatever. But like, and so it's chronoing everybody's ammo, and so they don't know when they're being chronoed.
That's so funny. Okay, we have before we let Ben go, we have one more thing we have to get to, and it's just any bit we do, we're just using your Jeff's comment section, Ben. That's just how this is gonna work. It is the top 9 things we wanted to hear Ben Barry say. These are just things because of Ben's unique voice, longtime podcaster. We just wanted to hear him say this stuff. So I sent Ben the list, and here we go. The number 9 thing we wanted to hear Ben Barry say.
I will bust a cap in your ass.
Number 8.
Purple-headed yogurt slinger.
The number 7 thing we wanted to hear Ben Barry say.
The thing you need to understand about the 10mm High Point is that it is actually one of the finest handguns ever made.
It is. I 100% agree with you, Ben. Absolutely. Number 6.
Who let Frank in here?
Number 5.
I assume this is unrelated, but welcome to Gayville, South Dakota.
No, that's an actual town in my state. About 40 miles south of me. That's an actual town, Gayville, South Dakota. I just
Takes
thought
all
it'd be
kinds.
fun. Yeah. Number 4.
You pull the target and you call the range master. That is a fucking double.
Yeah. Play that GM card that you got before 2017. All right. The number 3 thing we wanted to hear Ben Barry say.
Staff reset is just dumb.
Number 2.
I'm your Huckleberry Barry.
Yeah, you are. And the number 1 thing we wanted to hear Ben Barry say.
Vaginal intercourse.
So, behind the
We're so
curtain,
juvenile.
everybody, thank you so much for doing that, Ben. That was hilarious. I keep forgetting you've only been on the board for, like, you're at the end of the 4th month. Like, you've barely been on the board.
Yup.
It seems like you've been there forever.
Well, it sometimes. I mean, it definitely has one of those like I have a kit for a 3D printer that's sitting on my bench and staring at me every day, and I have not touched it since the Christmas break because it's just I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get back to that maybe when my term is up. Who knows? But no, I mean it definitely is. It is interesting because it has been a very interesting learning experience. I definitely think, I mean, you and I had a good conversation the other night, just kind of trying to, give you kind of the, hey, the lay of the land. Here's
what am I in for?
Yeah. Again, to go back to the question earlier, I think things are moving in the right direction. It's definitely, taken me a couple months to kind of get up to speed and understand how things operate and how things get done. But I am optimistic, and I don't begrudge anyone running hit factor matches, and I think what you guys are doing with especially Todd kind of taking and putting his own spin on the PCSL rules. I think to me that kind of experimentation is kind of planting the seeds that we should be able to reap. I think to have a little miniature topic here at the end of your podcast. One of the things that I think USPSA does poorly is experiment, right? Try things.
100%.
Because everything is so rigid, we want to make sure everything's absolutely bulletproof before we roll it out. And so I think having the ability to, have these matches where different ideas are being tried, different scoring methods, different spins on, hit factor scoring. But like I just saw something, Corey Yates posted something about a match where they put a clay target out and it was worth 20 points if you hit it, but it was a no penalty mic if you didn't shoot at it. It's like, okay, like that's interesting. Is it something that the rulebook should prohibit? Probably not, at least at a level 1. I mean, if you want to run that at your club, should we be able to tell you no? I don't know, but I do think it is. We're in a very interesting chapter where something that is coming out of the protests is a lot of innovation and a lot of people trying new things. And I think hopefully we can harvest the best ideas and make them a part of USPSA going forward.
Yeah. The other club near me, Sioux Falls Practical Shooters, they had a very rain-soaked match today that I did not go to because I'm smart. But they were using clays on a stage. And clays in a cardboard target as a rifle target has been very common in 3-gun for a long time. Mm-hmm. But it's never been a thing really in USPSA at all. It's not even a legal target. But clays are not a super challenging target with a pistol because it's just the low bore axis. With a rifle up close, you got to remember that holdover, and it's real easy to screw it up. But I think it's a fun target, and that's another thing that would be certainly worth doing. It makes a mess compared to steel, but hey, it's fun. I think the level 1 matches, the clubs should be able to experiment a little more than they are. I don't think that's a terrible idea at all. No, not at all.
And like I mentioned, at this indoor match, trying to find different ways to work one-handed shooting into the match. So I'll have a box, and all shots from that box have to be fired one-handed. And it's very easy to administer, because if your feet are in that box, then you should be shooting one-handed. The whole rest of the shooting area, or, all shots through this port, things like that, where we can experiment and figure out ways, to get the goal of one-handed shooting integrated in a freestyle manner versus the very prescriptive Virginia count kind of way.
Yeah. And even write it in a note over that port so Jeff doesn't forget it in his stage plan.
Correct.
That's he needs a plan.
I probably wasn't paying attention during the stage brief.
Yeah. Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was fantastic having you on. Look forward to working with you on the board. And that will do it for us tonight. He's Jeff King. I'm Andy Erickson. This is Not Another Shooting Show.